Hello everyone, this is Brenton's Fishing Report, and he's going to talk to you today about the snook species, and what to use to catch them, and where to locate them. Here is Brenton Roberts.
Alright, today we're going to talk about what to use to catch snook and where you can find them and what time and all that great stuff. so, right now, this time of year, the snook are usually around the inlets and cruising the troughs of the beaches. So, let's just start out, say, in the inlet, what to use and what tide you're going to want to use or to fish is incoming or outgoing. Not really slack tide because then they go out into the ocean and really don't hang in the inlets. But I prefer a strong outgoing tide and the snook will stage in the inlets and hang by the rock jetties. And I like to use if you can get live bait, you can use a live greenie, live sardine, really, or live mullet. Really, anything that's live just gets down there and gives some attention to them. And you can, if you can't get live bait, you can use lures such as like jigs and stuff that really get down to them because they're mostly hanging towards the bottom. Like this is a big bucktail jig. And red-tail hawks you can use, other bucktail jigs, anything with some real weight to them, such as these two, DOA Terrorize, work good, just bounce them along the bottom, and produces a nice bite. I catch a lot of fish on slow working stuff, real slow along the bottom when the snooker and inlets. And now they're on the beaches also, and what I like to use for them on the beaches is something real small that either looks like a greenie or a glass minnow. Usually is what I like to use on the beach. And stuff like the Marilure Meridine. This is a small one, greenback. Imitates a little greenie, pilchard, white bait, whatever you want to call them. And you can also use DOA cows. Just really anything that imitates little fish. Little baits such as mullet, little baby croakers, anything. And another thing I like to use for them is when you got those bigger fish around and you see a lot of little croakers and stuff hanging on bottom is and rooting and stuff and little mullet. Use a I think this is called the Marilure L29 or L27. It's a good lip bait. It imitates a mullet, croaker on bottom, and it's a good bait. And one more quick thing for the fly fishermen. For the beaches, I like using real small stuff that imitates glass minnows, such as this little like glass minnow fly. This is an Enrico Puglisi fly. I think it's called a bay anchovy or something. But it's a really nice fly to use for them in the trough. And you can always use your, little deceivers and stuff. But I would throw something smaller to them because it doesn't make such a big noise, especially if you're sight casting the fish in the trough, which is usually the what you're doing. Just lay it right in front of their face. You usually get them to eat. Alright.
So what are the average size snook being caught lately, Brenton?
Up at the inlets, the fish have been really big lately. What I've heard is, I've heard fish are being caught up to 25, 30 pounds daily on live baits like I explained about earlier. And, but you get your average size fish, your schoolie fish, I guess you call them your breeder fish, that rate from 20 to, say, 30, and then you get your really big breeder females. But, and on the beaches, the fish are average probably about 20 to 30, I'd say. They're not as big as the inlet, but there's a good number of them out there. which makes up for the size difference, which is really fun with light tackle.
So, Brenton, what is the rod choice for the snook that have been caught lately?
Well, we'll start off with fly rods. This is my G Loomis GLX Mega. This is an 8/9 weight line, and I got a Fluger Presidential reel on it with 8 weight Orbis, 3rd generation Wonderline on it. And I like it. It's a real stiff rod. It's nice. You can really throw a nice heavy flies with it, and it's got a good taper and good action to it. Really lays the flies down good. And well, that's that. And we'll get into what my leader I use, how I taper it, and everything. And this is pretty much my everyday rod. I mean, I got a Shimano Stratic 4000, which is a really versatile rod because I pulled out some pretty big fish with this thing. And I mean, it's not that big. And I got a All-Star Platinum on it right now, 7 foot. Lines pound is 8 to 17, and action is fast or medium fast action. And it's a nice stout rod. Got some nice backbone. Really want some good backbone to really pull them fish out. And my bait caster is a Abu Garcia Revo Inshore on an All-Star ASR series. It's a good, I like using this for throwing top water and stuff early morning because I just feel like you get the better action with it with the top water. I feel like you can walk it better. And then for my big live bait rod, I use this is one of them. It's a Hurricane Redbone 7.6 medium heavy rod with a Pen Slammer 450 SSG, and I got a big swim bait on it right now because I was fishing the spillway. But this is what I usually use, say the inlet or wherever, live bait, and it's a really good strong rod, and it holds up good for the big fish because you don't want to fight them fish for too long, tire them out to where it's beyond where they can get it back and they hurt themselves or either die.
So, Brenton, what terminal tackle do you use?
For throwing lures and stuff, usually I just use this is Stren Tannic 100 tinted 100% fluorocarbon. This is 25 pound test. This is usually what I use for throwing lures, you know, like Yozuri and just soft plastics, really anything. Good for, you know, catching those average size fish that you'll find around wherever you catch them. But yeah, that's what I use for lures. And then when I'm going, there's bigger fish in the area, I go with a bigger leader. This is Trillium Big Game 100% fluorocarbon. This is 50 pound. I go sometimes if this is just like average size. Sometimes I'll go 40 if the fish aren't biting too well, if they're thinking they're seeing the leader real easy. Or and sometimes if I know there's tarpon in the area, also, I will sometimes step up to 60. And if I know there's those bigger fish, because those fish with their teeth, I know really wear through some leader. And then leader, and then for hooks, and this is for just a jig head, and I use for just soft plastics such as DOA cows, jerk baits, whatever, shrimp imitations and stuff. I mean, it works good. And for live baits, such as I use shrimp for snook. I use I think this is size 1 circle hook. I always want to use a circle hook to get a clean release, especially if you're not going to keep the fish, especially now, because it's not in season because of the bad freeze we had over the winter. A lot of the fish died. And then if I'm using, say, greenies and stuff, I use a probably 2 or 3/0 size circle hook, and I relatively like hooking them either through the nose or in the back behind the pectoral fin, and gives a good action, really gives an erratic action. They